With all the paperwork finalized on our new property, I am starting to tackle the momentous task of packing up everything we own and heading down to Colorado. I've been getting up extra early to get more done and also taken all of the magnificent Montana sunrises that I have left. Up until now, I've just kind of been picking up things here and there and trying to thin out everything we own. But today I am officially starting what I'm calling Operation Clean Sweep. Since I cannot be two places at once, I will be moving the horses very last, so until that time rolls around, I have to get everything from the barn packed up so we can head down. We have a little bit over a month to get this done, and right now I'm feeling pretty confident that that is a reasonable timeline. Hopefully that won't change once I get down to the nitty-gritty of actually packing up all of our stuff. Even though I do have a lot of other things to do, I still have to feed and take care of all the horses every day, as well as check over them to make sure they haven't been getting into too much trouble. While I've already started removing some of the tack from the trailer, today I'm going to take everything out, give it a clean, and then put everything back in. I'm hoping to get my tack room in the barn completely cleared out today. I am a little bit worried about the weather. This is all stuff I can do if it rains, but sometimes when it rains here, we have crazy winds and lightning as well, and I'd rather not be going back and forth between the barn and the trailer with that going on. Like I said in the last video, we really don't have that much stuff at our house. We're not moving any gigantic furniture. We actually don't even have a couch in our house. So a lot of the things that you would think about moving that are a lot of trouble, we don't have to deal with. Unfortunately, my tack hoarding problem is going to create a few problems when we move.
Goosey. Hey, Goosey.
As I'm driving around in the morning, I always find little things to pick up, and today I am going to take these jumping blocks and wash them off. They also are filled with water, so I'm going to have to drill some extra holes in them so they can drain. Another big task that I'm tackling before I move all the horses is getting these manure piles situated. This pile is ready to be spread. Every once in a while I do find a stray piece of twine or a bungee cord. I'm really trying to speed up this pile. It is not ready to get spread. If I were to put it out on the grass right now, it would kill it. This really old pile has been sold for a while. They just have not come by to pick it up, so I'm probably gonna have to remove all the weeds before they come get it. I'm trying really hard to stay focused today, which can be a difficult task when you have so many other things to do. I'm going to drop these blocks off by the hose so I can rinse them off at a later date. The very first trip I make down to the new place, I'm going to be taking everything from the barn that I don't need here. I have a ton of water tanks and feed bins that I will be bringing. I had a few of you guys ask about the panels, but that is something that I will be selling. I paid less than retail price for them, and with the price of steel going up recently, I'm actually going to offer them for sale for more than I paid, so it is way smarter to sell them here than try and haul them all the way down to Colorado. One horse who hasn't been particularly enthusiastic about the early mornings is Frisco Bill. He does tend to take a lot of naps in the morning and is a bit grouchy today.
Frisco Bill.
Pearl has also not been very nice to him. I think she doesn't feel well still, so they've been staying a little bit farther apart from each other than they usually do. Most of the grass in their tiny pasture has been grazed down, and they're still a bit underneath the tree, so that is kind of where they've been staying. Realistically, they probably only have a few more mornings out on this tiny pasture until I can mow it and get it drug and back to how it looked before I put the fence up. All of the temporary fencing I will be taking with me. There are some additions to the property that I made over the years that I'm not sure if I'm going to remove or just leave here. I did put stall mats in all the stalls, and then I did put a lot of electrical tape around the big pastures. That's definitely something I could remove, but the amount of work that is going to take is probably not worth it to me right now. Those are both things that increase the value of the property, so I don't think that the owner is going to mind if I don't remove those things. I do, however, think that it will be nice to get all of the manure taken care of. I've turned my new pile over twice already. I'm doing it every 3 days and watering in between, and that has really sped up the process. Usually it does not smell like poop around here, but with this stuff breaking down, the ammonia that it's releasing is making it a little bit stinky out here. Not a bad view for the morning chores. We have been getting a lot of moisture, which has made it a little bit nasty here with all of the hay laying around. In the big stack, I've got around 5 big squares left, and that will last me as long as the horses are going to be here. In preparation for the move, I'm also going to fill up some hay bags so they can eat some familiar hay when they get to the new place. Nigel's been on a little bit of a hunger strike lately. He's not been wanting to eat his pills, so I've been switching up his grain and haven't found something that he actually likes. He's really been turning his nose up at everything, so I might have to put him back on a tiny bit of senior feed just to get him to eat his pills. I have been doing some taste tests with Pearl and Frisco on the type of electrolytes that they'll eat. And it looks like Frisco does not like the apple flavored ones anymore, and he very much prefers the garlic flavored. This is a good thing to have figured out before the move, just so they can stay hydrated when they travel.
Frisco Bill. Old boy.
I'm pretty glad that Frisco decided he likes the garlic ones, because that should help the flies stay away from him. With all of the cleanup going on, it is looking a little bit disastrous in here. With the fly population exploded, I've been putting the giant sticky rolls up in Frisco and Pearl stalls, and those seem to be doing a pretty good job. As long as I've lived here, the bugs have never been this bad, so I think it's the trade-off that I have to make to have the wildfire smoke be significantly less this year. There are a few that have popped up pretty close by, so it's nice that we're getting the rain, but it makes a few things a little bit more difficult and definitely contributes to all the bugs. As far as moving the horses go, I will personally be hauling all of the old horses. That way we can stop as much as we need. I'm still a little bit up in the air about the other horses, but it's looking like I can book a commercial hauler to take all 10 of them down in one trip. Pearl is still struggling quite a bit. She has been having more trouble laying down and getting up. The vet gave me a few more things to look at, so I'm still just keeping a very close eye on her. One of the morning chores that Frisco lets me know is non-negotiable is getting him groomed up at the beginning of every day. Since he did have some laminitis earlier on this year, I am going to be watching him very closely to make sure he is fit to travel. All of the horses that have ever had a laminitic episode or have foundered will be getting some kind of hoof protection as we travel. The vibrations from the road and standing in the trailer for several hours can trigger a laminitic episode. Frisco, Pearl, Nigel, Studman, and Big Gus will be getting some extra hoof protection. My trailer does have mats and it will be bedded pretty heavily just so they'll have some extra cushion. Luckily, these 3 old horses seem pretty well traveled, so I think they're probably going to be the easiest to move. A few of the other horses I am guessing are going to be a little bit stressed about it, but it will definitely help if all of them are together. After Frisco gets pampered every morning, I move on to Pearl, and I was pretty disappointed to see that one of the things the vet told me to look out for is happening to Pearl again. Because of everything that has been going on with Pearl and kind of the progression of her at my place, we are thinking that she is in heart failure. I'll show you Frisco Bill before I show you her so you can see the difference. She does have a lot of her veins engorged, and this is something that can happen when they are going into heart failure. The one on the abdomen, a lot of people call the milk vein, and that can become pretty engorged when the horses are feeding a baby. Unfortunately, Pearl has it happening all over her body, which is a pretty big sign that something is not working properly. When the heart isn't pumping properly, the blood kind of settles and you'll get this pooling. I've been noticing it a little bit, but this morning it's pretty significant, especially this one on her girth area. Because of all of the pressure that builds up, this can also cause nosebleeds, so that is really what we're thinking is happening with Pearl at this point. I've been monitoring her vitals just to make sure she's staying relatively comfortable. This morning I noticed that she felt pretty cool to the touch, and she actually did not have a normal temperature. 99.5 to 101.5 is normal, so she is pretty low this morning, which is also another sign of heart failure, unfortunately. This honestly just really sucks because her current condition, she is probably not fit to travel. I'm hoping her medication adjustment is going to help, but I'm really kind of bummed out. I was hoping that if I got her to the new place, she would somehow magically get better.
Come here.
Her little romp in the pasture last week definitely put some extra strain on her heart. It is hard to tell these old horses to slow it down, especially when they start feeling so much better.
Tiny.
She did seem really happy to get out and gallop around, but at this point she is going to have to stay contained to a really small pasture. I've got another appointment with the vet next week to do another checkup and see how she's responding to her medication. Even though it's still pretty early in the morning, Tiny has let me know that it's time to get back to work. I was excited to take Nigel's little tent with us,
Nigel.
but there
Hey,
is
buddy.
the perfect little setup for him at the new house where he'll have his own permanent shelter. In between cleaning, I am taking little breaks to try and plan out a little bit of the fencing situation there. Nigel's PPID meds have been increased, and I do think that that is helping with his vision. This morning, however, he was completely oblivious to the
Nigel.
visitors that he had right behind his shelter. This time of year, I get pretty lucky. A lot of wildlife comes past here just to snack on whatever the neighbor is growing. I haven't seen any mule deer in quite a while. Usually I just see whitetail, and it was kind of nice seeing those two pass through. The wildlife is going to be a little bit different where we're going. There's a lot of coyotes. I think there are mountain lions. The actual property is in a little bit of disrepair. The pasture needs a lot of work, and the holes that all of the little critters are making do need some remedying as well. As I'm doing all of the mindless chores around here, I am thinking about everything I have to do at the new property. I really don't mind doing chores, and it'll be so much more fun doing them on a property that I own. It's already lunchtime, and I feel like I have hardly gotten anything done this morning. I did fill up a load in the pickup of recycling and trash that I do need to take into town. But before that, I am going to check on Pearl again. Hopefully her body temperature has gone up since she's been eating hay. Earlier, she was right on the edge of it being an actual emergency, but it's nice that she is very close to normal, so the vet said it's fine to just observe her and see how she does for now. For some reason, my normal mixture of fly spray has not been working very well on these super bugs, so I've switched it up a little bit and I'm testing out a few different products. Frisco Bill was not too happy about the aerosol spray. He is a pretty old, well-trained horse, but every once in a while something really gets under his skin. It is pretty important for both him and Pearl to not be stomping at flies all day. Before I head out, I took some video and picture to send to my vet just so she could see what is going on with Pearl. I'm just heading home for a quick lunch, so I should be back in less than an hour to check on her again. I spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning up the barn, and then when evening rolled around, the temperature changed drastically. This caused both Frisco and Whiplash to get gas colic. Thankfully, I caught it right away. I gave them some drugs and they seemed to recover pretty quickly. But we are going to have to continue Operation Clean Sweep tomorrow.
Hey, boy.
I'm not very good at actually planning the amount of time that tasks are going to take. I greatly underestimated the amount of tack and just extra things I have lying around. Today I'm going to be doing the same thing I did yesterday, but hopefully I'll get farther along. One thing that I am really going to like about the new property is that I can roll out of bed and go right to feeding the horses. Right now I usually get up, have some coffee, do a little bit of work and editing, and then go feed at around 8 o'clock. The daily sunrise with the horses is something that I am really looking forward to.
Girls. There he goes.
It really doesn't seem like it should be that big of a task, but I did have so much more stuff packed into my tack room than I had anticipated. The worst part is that I do have a lot more stuff at my actual house in storage. I took everything out yesterday that was in the nose and rearranged it and started stacking blankets. I do have a few saddles still out on consignment, but this is going to be the majority of them. I would really prefer not to do it in the rain, and it looks like Frisco is a little bit grouchy about the weather today too. Pearl seemed to get better throughout the day yesterday, and it does look like her medication is making a little bit of difference. Compared to yesterday, she is a lot more happy and bright. Unfortunately, the problem with her veins is still present, so there is a lot of pressure building up from her not being able to pump blood around her body correctly.
Mama.
It's going to be a little bit of a waiting game for the next week to see how her body responds to the medication, but I'm pretty hopeful after seeing her this morning. With rain in the forecast all morning and afternoon, I headed home and cleaned up stuff at my house.
Nigel.
When I made it back in the evening, it was pretty apparent that all of the horses were taking this opportunity to get absolutely filthy. It is going to be really nice to move from Montana to Colorado and get a few extra months of sunshine every year. In the last video, I told you guys I was searching for a companion for Nigel. I didn't go to the sale myself, but I had some friends go and check out a few of the prospects I had in mind. Unfortunately, a few of them looked like they were a little bit sick, and when they came through the ring, they were hardly broke at all. I really want to find Nigel a companion that will benefit him as well as me. I don't need to be getting drug all around by a half-feral tiny horse. I also do not need to risk getting any of the horses sick before the move. All of this rain has been perfect for saturating my manure pile. It'll start to break down a lot faster now. Even though it looks pretty cold right now, it is around 65 degrees, which is a good temperature for the horses.
Boy, standing out in the rain. What you boys doing?
It looks like these boys are ready for dinner, but I am gonna continue my packing before I feed everybody.
Oh, Zig.
I don't know who was worse this evening, Ziggy or Nigel, but they were both pretty disgusting.
Hey, Pram. Hey, Pram.
It's kind of funny, since Prim has had access to her own private stall
Prim.
for a number of years, she is one that does not like standing out in the rain. I've been catching her every morning and night and doctoring her cut. It's growing a little bit of proud flesh, but I think it will go down over the next week or so.
Oh.
All of these boys have also done their best to get completely filthy. They have also stomped all of their remaining breakfast hay into the ground, so it looks like they're a little bit bored right now. With the pasture being so saturated, it's probably not a good idea to turn them out, but I would rather have them run around on the grass than run around in the dry lot, which can get really slippery when it has rained this much. After the colic scares from yesterday, it looks like Whiplash is doing a lot better. He was getting really bothered by the bugs, so I did have to put some heavy-duty fly cream on his face.
Nigel, you hungry?
I'm kind of bummed I didn't find a friend for Nigel, but he seems to do really well by himself. I've been trying to plan Nigel's setup at the new place to have a little bit of a track system that goes around the other horses so he can interact with them and get lots of exercise. With Pearl not feeling well and a few of the other horses not doing good with these temperature swings, it's kind of nice that I don't have another animal to look after. With all the rain, I made some really good headway on Tiny's tack room today. I really tried to thin all of my things out to the stuff that I actually use. I'm really hoping I can donate a lot of the stuff that I no longer use to one of the nonprofits here in town. A few of you guys asked about Gus's Indian bridle when I mentioned it the other day. This is one of them. It's just a leather circle that goes in his mouth. I have a lot of tack that I've accumulated over the years that I don't use anymore. It's been a little bit slow going, but Tiny has managed to keep me on track.
What's wrong? Ooh, you're wet. Out in the rain.
I won't be moving Tiny until I move the old horses, so I'm not getting too crazy with her preparation yet.
How you doing, girl?
Compared to yesterday, I definitely think that Pearl is feeling a bit better.
Tiny?
Tiny is actually really good on car rides, but before I get her ready to move, I am going to get her a litter box. She actually does not have one here. I don't think she'll have any trouble using it. She did live in my house for little periods of time over the years, but I want to make sure she feels comfortable in her new environment, so that is going to be a big part of making that happen. Of course, as soon as I got to moving more of my tack into the trailer, it started to downpour again. The temperature dropped a few degrees, and that was enough to get these boys a little bit on the sassy side. I've noticed recently that anytime Stewie starts to pester Studman, Whiplash will come over. Whiplash does not have the energy to challenge Studman on his own, but with the help of Stewie, it looks like they are trying to take over the herd. This summer, Pete has really come out of his shell in the herd, and I do think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I am not really working any of the horses right now.
Stewie! Ponies!
Without me interfering with the natural order of things, he has gained a lot of confidence. It's really nice to see him running around and playing, but it kind of bums me out because that means that he really does not care to spend any time with me. When I had this trailer built, I wanted as much room for the horses as possible, so the tack room is quite small. I also discovered a light switch behind the saddle rack that I had no idea was there. For the last couple of years, I've been using these stick-on lights, which work pretty good. When I used to travel to a lot of horse sales and buy a bunch of horses, I used to sleep in this tack room, so that's really the only reason I need lights in here. With all the trouble that I have with my back and my neck, recently I started just staying in a hotel if I'm going to a sale that I need to be overnight for. In between packing the trailer, I took little breaks to see the horses play in the rain. Even though I didn't get to do a whole lot of work with them this summer, I really don't think that they've minded. All of the playing and running around that they do out in the pasture actually caused a bunch of them to get in better shape. Studman and Goose are looking much more fit than they did at the beginning of the summer.
I see you, Stewie.
I think I can thank Stewie for all of the exercise they've been getting.
What are you doing?
Tiny has been a little bit extra vocal today because I have been disrupting the order of her tack room. Her food is in there. She has a bunch of beds in there. It is where she spends the winter, and I still have her shaky plate in there.
Oh, Tiny.
I'm not too worried about her making herself at home at the new place, but I am worried about her getting really upset about me changing things around here. I got Tiny when she was just a few months old, so she has spent the majority of her life at this barn. While Tiny won't have her own horse barn on the new property, there is a really cool old cabin that I think she's gonna feel right at home at. Before I feed the boys outside, I do want to get all of my saddles packed into the nose of this trailer. With it raining pretty steadily now, I'm gonna go ahead and feed Pearl and Frisco inside. Pearl had a really hard time adjusting to a stall at the beginning, but she seems to really like it now.
Come on.
If I'm gonna get my saddles packed in before dark, I need to hurry before I run out of daylight. It was really hard thinning down all my treasures at my house, but it hasn't been too tricky here. Every once in a while, I'll come upon something I forgot I had, like Frisco Bill's old show tack. One of the things I'm really excited about for this move is I will have a better opportunity to show some of the horses.
Nigel.
Unfortunately, the new property is quite a ways away from a big city center. I absolutely love my vet team here, and that is going to be one thing that will be very difficult to replace. I'm sure I can find a really good vet out there, but it takes a special person to do work with these at-risk horses. I'm really stoked that the new property is a lot closer to a few BLM holding facilities. Just when I thought I was getting to the bottom of my tack collection, I had opened up a random Tupperware and I discovered things that I totally forgot I had. After a lot of sorting and cleaning, I was finally ready to pack the saddles into the trailer.
Tiny, nope. No, ma'am. Tiny, nope.
My packing job just barely met Tiny's approval. Besides the few that I have out on consignment and a handful at my house, this is all of my saddles and tack that I own.
What are you doing?
I'm pretty thankful that it is still staying quite light out even later in the evening. These horses are more than ready to get turned out onto the pasture and run around for a little bit. In order to get them moving a bit more than usual, I have been spreading out hay piles in the pasture. While the far pasture does have some grass, these horses do need to be supplemented with alfalfa, and I need to get rid of my hay pile before we move. Even after all the playing earlier, these boys still were a little bit on the frisky side. I'm feeling pretty good about everything I accomplished today. This is something that is probably going to take the whole entire time that we have allotted for the move. Tiny and Huckleberry definitely know something's up, but I think the horses are not quite onto me yet. I will be taking the old horses down a few days before the rest of the horses come, so I think by that time they will have figured it out. Until then, it will be business as usual, and I can count on Stewie to stir these boys up and get exercise every day.
Stu. Hey, boys. Be good boys.
One of my most favorite things is letting these boys run around in the evening. I know a lot of you guys are gonna miss the mountains in the background, but I think the new place has a pretty good view as well.
Boys?
With the boys being pretty fresh and sassy, I am eventually going to have to prepare them for the long trailer ride. To make sure you guys don't miss any of that process, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.